Hi, this is Gary Audin, and we have an Educast for you today, Contact Center Quality Management. With me today, Nigel Olding, Senior Product Manager, Engehouse Interactive, and he and I will be talking about quality management. If you think about what people have done with contact centers for the last several years, they've worked on making the contact center better, but we're going to talk about making the user experience, the person calling the agent, have a better experience. So let's talk about what we're going to talk about. What is quality management and the tools that go with them? What drives us to do this quality management? Because we've done a lot to improve the efficiency of the agents. We really have to think about how the agents deal with the people who are calling in. What training gaps are there? Because there's always time to do things better. Reducing liability issues. And don't forget, many contact centers have to deal with compliance issues as well. And then talk about some tactics to help us improve what the agents do. So Nigel, let's start off with this first thing. What is bad service costing a business today?
Thanks, Gary. On this topic, this session will probably be viewed by a large number of different customers from different industries, and I'm sure across all of us will have a view on what the impact of providing poor service and how it will vary from business to business. There's a variety of different statistics from different industries that can be quoted on the impact of delivering poor service. As the provision of contact centres is at the heart of what we do at Engehouse, we regularly carry out a number of our own surveys across a variety of market segments. Today I've picked out a few of our general findings to give you a view of what the impact is of poor quality of service.
You say the word impact, but I think of the word penalties as much more appropriate.
Well, I agree with that, Gary, but actually I think it's both. And as I go through one or two of the slides, you'll actually see that as well as impact, I also have a slide just referencing the relevance of penalties as well. So from the survey that we have carried out at Engehouse, 96% of dissatisfied customers won't even contact the business to discuss their experience. The impact of that, therefore, are that they are lost to us without even knowing about it. 86% of customers will quit doing business if they receive bad service. Generally, I think we can all agree that it actually costs significantly more to recruit and attract new customers than actually keeping existing customers. So it's important that we actually understand and deliver a right level of service to maintain the customers that we do have. 51% will only make one attempt to contact you for support if anything goes wrong. The impact of this is that we have to make sure that we offer the right tools to those customers to make contact, and we're seeing that generally in the market with the change in communication tools that customers and callers are now looking to make use of. The stats presented here were part of interviews that we carried out in November 2015.
One of the points I think is real important, and it's about reputation, is it's hard to build a good reputation, but it's really easy to lose it.
Absolutely. And again, the final statistic from our survey was that 40% of decisions to buy were based on service reputation. Communication tools and expectations have developed significantly over the years, and with instant access to a variety of social media tools, the change we have seen is that if a customer has a poor experience, the details are shared widely and quickly. For me, it seems only a few years ago that if I had an issue with a customer or a partner, it would probably be handled as a very personal experience, a personal communication via letter or email. Today, experiences are shared immediately on social media. The impact of trying to address these can then actually prove to be very difficult and also very expensive to achieve.
Let's talk about some examples here you have.
Exactly. I don't want to go into the particular details here, but the point that we do want to make here is, as well as having an impact on our customers, actually there is now real penalties on the business themselves, and there's a variety of examples appearing across various industries where businesses are now being financially penalised for poor quality or non-delivery of expected services.
Does that mean, and I'm going to digress a moment, does that mean the actual stock price, the investment in these companies actually decreases because of poor service?
That can actually be seen as an impact, yes. Obviously, it varies from business to business, but that can be a natural consequence, yes.
So let's talk about the trends now that become very important to us here.
In summary, the communication landscape has been changing with multimedia, multi-channel and self-service communications becoming much more of the norm. As customers use different tools to connect to a business, such as SMS, instant messaging, chat, etc., voice sometimes has become the last resort. The result of it is that when I do make contact through a voice communication, it can often be longer and more complex in the past because I've actually already had a number of engagements through other media. The importance, therefore, is that when we actually do receive that final communication via voice, it's important that we actually deliver the level of service and also have the right information available to the agent so that they can deal with it. So I don't feel as a caller that I'm just regurgitating information and communication that I've had via other tools. As well as providing the tools to manage these interactions, it is important that we have a clear picture of the service levels that are therefore provided. The old adage, you can't manage what you can't measure. It is therefore essential that we have the tools to measure and monitor these interactions, and that is where quality management tools play a part and the foundation for some of the discussions that we'll go through over the next few minutes.
You know, we've mentioned the term quality management, and I have a general idea. But what is quality management? Define it for us.
Before just defining the capabilities of quality management, I'll start first of all just by positioning where it fits. Generally, in very simple terms, any contact center will have the ability to manage interactions for customers, whether it's SMS, on chat. Most contact centers that we're talking to these days are requiring multimedia interactions with their customers. There will then be a level of intelligence to route those interactions to the right contacts, to the right person, so that we can get that first call resolution and make sure that the engagement with the customer is. We also firmly believe that a dramatic impact on the contact handling can be realized by ensuring that the agents and operators have the right tools on their desktop or devices to manage that contact appropriately. Happy agents result in happy customers. Quality management tools, therefore, fit behind and alongside these processes to help measure, manage, and therefore continually improve those ongoing services and operations. So that's where quality management fits in.
You know, Nigel, I keep thinking about what you have to do here, and you have to keep monitoring and improving what you're doing. It's a continuous effort. Is that correct?
I would agree entirely with that, Gary. And one of the conclusions at the end that I want to leave people with today is that when you start looking at quality management and the role that it provides, it's not a one-off exercise. It is an ongoing continual process to keep reviewing, keep going back and keep tweaking and adjusting the operation to fit. We're in a changing environment. What works today may not work in 12 months' time, so I agree entirely with that. So the role of the QMS tools really is to help with that review, monitor and improve that ongoing operation. These tools, as we go now into a little bit more detail on the specific capabilities and content of QMS, these tools will include access to interactions, recordings, playback, real-time monitoring, scorecarding, and consistent measuring and reporting tools so that we can analyze the service. However, the benefits of the QMS tools does not just need to be historical information, but can also play a significant part in the real-time feedback to supervisors. Technologies such as speech analytics are now providing tools to facilitate automatic scoring, so large call samples can be used and immediate feedback can be provided back to supervisors and to the contact center. To see the real benefits of QMS, it's essential that QMS tools used are tightly integrated with the call handling tools and use the desktop tools so that the benefit of the systems working together can be realized rather than just running as individual siloed systems.
But one of the points you're making is we need to record all calls to be able to get the data to do the analytics.
Correct. So the starting foundation of the quality management is actually the capture of the interaction. And we talk about calls today, but going forward that will also include other media interactions as well. So part of the development of our QMS suite at the moment is going through a route where we will be bringing in other interactions as well, whether it's textual conversations through text and so on. And just referring to the slides that we have here, I won't go through statistics in particular, but from this survey carried out by Contact Babel, what they're pointing out is that a lot of the benefits that can be realised from the quality management tools is around education, identifying training needs, and then coaching the staff and giving them the feedback.
Now, you have a process that you go through. You're a company that's been in this business a long time. Would you tell us about Engehouse Interactive, and then we'll talk about your tools?
By all means, thanks, Gary. For anybody that isn't familiar with Engehouse Interactive, we are a global supplier of interaction management and customer contact solutions. This includes contact center solutions, operators, tools that interact with your customers, self-service, and includes the wraparound supporting tools such as recording and the quality management that we're looking at today. We're very much based around a methodology of technology acquisition. So what we do as the market changes, as needs change, we identify technologies that complement our existing portfolio, and we will actually go out and purchase additional technologies to complement that. The importance to our customers of this is that by owning each technology, our objective is to really realize more value from these systems working together, integrated, rather than just being independent systems bought from different suppliers. Through integration, information is shared between the systems, and by sharing that information, we actually can drill down into issues. We can find the haystack and actually identify and address problems that may exist, which may not be found if the systems are not working together. One of our goals today will be to try and illustrate this through the addition of speech analytics, which is the latest technology that we've added to our portfolio.
One problem I see, though, is you have small business, medium business, large business, you have not-for-profits. It seems like you can't just have one product that does everything.
Entirely endorse that thought process. It's our belief is that it's not a one product fits all. So as a result of that, we do run a portfolio. The advantage of that is that it means that customers can look at their requirements and they can match it to the suite that fits their requirements and also their purse as well. Generally, though, the functionality that exists across the portfolios tend to be very similar. It often will be around the flexibility and the complexity, which may define which portfolio actually has a better sit, particularly around things like architecture and scalability and deployments across locations in the globe. But we are very much built around a portfolio of products that customers can select and choose the portfolio, the product and suite that fits their needs.
You brought up the term suite. Let's talk about the suite that you do offer.
Yep. So basically, getting into some of the detail around the quality management suite, at the heart of it, as we've mentioned already, the starting point is a capture of the interaction. So that's recording the audio, capturing what's going on the screen as well, so we can see how an agent is dealing with a call and how well it's being handled. As part of doing that evaluation, we need a consistent mechanism for evaluating. So if supervisor A makes an evaluation of the service delivered, if supervisor B then makes an evaluation, we want to make sure that evaluation is consistent. And that is delivered through a scorecarding capability, which will give us reports at the end so that we can actually then review and look at the service that is being delivered. The third element of it, which is a growing technology and one that's become very, very popular, is the use of real-time speech analytics. And again, this can complement the scorecarding capability. The advantage of the real-time speech analytics is it can be automated. It can look through vast numbers of recordings, score them automatically, which reduces the overhead of manual input, but can still provide automatic reports, and again give you more analysis of a larger call volume so that you can get a clearer and a truer picture of the interaction. But again, that will complement the scorecarding carried out by the supervisors. So the three of them together really constitute the quality management suite.
I see at the bottom of the screen here you have an award from Frost & Sullivan. What does that mean?
This was an award that we achieved last year, which was an evaluation of we talked previously about the fact that we run a portfolio. So if we have a small customer who requires a on-premise contact center, we have a portfolio there. The award from Frost & Sullivan was for our hosted contact center, which it felt gave the best price performance within the market.
Thank you. Now let's talk about the suite that you have. I'm going to start off with this first part of the screen.
Okay, so the starting point, as we've talked about previously, is capturing the interaction, and we do that by recording the interaction. Once it's recorded, the uses of it may well be for improvements in efficiency, but as Gary mentioned earlier, there will also or may also be compliance requirements that are associated with it. Having captured the interaction, we can then use the tools within the suite to record and search and find the recordings. We can use traditional telephony information such as time of date, number that was used to dial. Through the integration, though, with other systems, the additional value that we get is that we can also use information that may have been passed to us by the contact center, by your CRM system, by the speech analytics, whereby, for example, we may say, please give me all the recordings I've made this week that came in on the marketing line and were handled by sales team 1. So by having the integration and attaching information to the recordings automatically, it gives us tools to be able to go and find recordings and therefore drill into and find the interactions we want and find those needles in the haystack I referred to earlier. As well as capturing the audio, some technology that's becoming very popular is also capturing the desktop activity as well. It's all right to listen to a recording and hear that Nigel has provided the wrong information, but am I giving the wrong information because I need further training, or is it that I'm actually being given the wrong information? Am I not traversing the CRM system or the knowledge base correctly and actually going to the wrong information? Sometimes we can only find that out by actually seeing what's going on as well. So actually being able to synchronize the audio with the screen activity can identify why Nigel's taking 20 minutes over a call when realistically he should only be taking 15 minutes. So actually visualization of the interaction is becoming a very, very useful tool within the quality management suite. Furthermore, as well as capturing and looking at the whole screen, there may be some environments, compliance for example, where we don't want to intrude on what the agent's doing all the time. If Nigel needs to go and use a certain application, maybe I need to pay a bill, we don't want to capture the interaction while he's in Facebook or Internet Explorer, but while he's in the CRM system, we do want to see what he's doing. So as well as the whole screen, we can capture individual applications as an alternative. And again, that's just purely customer choice and configuration, how they want it to work for them. Once we've got the interaction, then we can start using the tools for scoring. And the scorecarding capability is intuitive to use, easy to use, and basically we simply write down the sorts of questions or the evaluations we want to do and provide scoring mechanisms to go with it. We can weight the questions in terms of importance, and we can simply listen to the audio, go through it, and actually score it as we go through. Typical scorecarding in this operation, as seen here, is very much a supervisor tool and requires the supervisor to work through it. The value that speech analytics brings is that we could actually automate that scorecarding in the automated speech analytics engine, go through and look for certain criteria and score automatically. The advantage of that, which is something that's becoming very popular now, is we get an automated output and automated scoring. Reduces the amount of time the supervisor needs, but then from the automated scorecards, we can identify the areas that we need to go back and maybe look at more as a quantitative level as a supervisor and drill in and understand why it's happening by listening to the conversation.
You bring up speech analytics, and it's a relatively new addition to this kind of suite, but let's talk about it a little bit more.
Either through looking at historical recordings and giving a report and score, or we can use it in a live environment as well. In a historical viewpoint, it means we can automatically get the benefit. We don't have to use a supervisor to do that. In the real-time operation, as illustrated here though, the advantage here is that we're actually, rather than scoring an agent after the operation, we're actually giving feedback to the agent during the call itself. So in other words, it's allowing me to that certain things are. In this example, I had a tick because I haven't yet confirmed their usage confirmation or the that they have, and therefore they aren't ticked yet. The advantage in real time is that it actually is confirmation that they've completed the tasks that are needed. So making sure that we guarantee the level of service as it's happening, rather than scoring it after the event and actually then providing feedback based on an event that's taken place. The purpose of this, therefore, is to work with the agent and encourage them and direct them in the right direction so that they are actually delivering. And if we're in the changing environment where the interaction changes regularly, it's a great tool for providing that capability.
Now let's move into some of the statistics about this, because I think that's important for people to understand its value.
Yes, again, to try and illustrate that, I've taken some stats from the Contact Babel, which is a survey we use a lot. I have to say I found these statistics quite surprising, because the actual adoption rate at the moment of historical speech analytics, which is where we're trawling through the recordings and providing scores automatically, is actually much higher than I've found it to be generally in the market. The point that I wanted to make from the stats, though, is people are using the historical review and analysis of speech analytics with recordings, but the real-time analytics is something that is starting to prove more popular in the market, and we're seeing that as a provider of it. So the real-time speech analytics is where we're actually seeing the biggest growth areas at the moment.
One of the issues I see with a lot of contact centers is the word compliance, that there's a lot of regulations and legislation that impacts the organization. Can you talk about that a little bit?
I will do, but and rather than putting stamps up to say this is compliant, really the way that we work with it is that within the suite itself, there's a variety of tools, such as built-in, available to customers, which they can simply turn on and off as they need them. Things like encryption, so if we have to store data, we can store it encrypted. If we need to store it for a fixed period, which is very common, then we have archiving capabilities to be able to move it to long-term storage, etc. Pausing, resuming recordings. If we take sensitive information, such as credit cards, we can automate that. Really the point I want to make is the way we tend to work with that is these tools are already built into the suite, and what we would do is work with customers to understand what their needs are in terms of compliance, and we'd simply configure and turn on the features that are needed to allow them to build the compliance solution that is needed, because it can differ from customer to customer.
Does it also differ from country to country too?
Absolutely. In terms of the information that can be made available, one of the changes that we're making at the moment is splitting our audio playback into 2 separate channels, so that we can actually only give access to certain channels, etc. And that's very much driven by some of the European markets at the moment as well. But it does vary, and that's again why we take the configuration approach rather than pre-building it. The tools, the configuration can accommodate the different changes between customers and also within regions as well.
Would you just summarize what we've talked about for us?
Yes. So basically, I think really the message that I want to give to customers today is that you need to understand what your own requirements are around measuring them and monitoring. Then put in place the tools that allow you to deliver that level. What's needed by customers can vary from different industries, which is the point I started with, is that we have a vast array, and therefore things can change from business to business, which is why we very much like the approach of having the capabilities in there, but make it very flexible so that it can be tailored to meet individual customers. The point, one of the emphases I want to make today is traditionally recordings have been captured for a long while. We can go back and listen to the interactions, but more and more now being able to provide real-time feedback as well is adding real value. So rather than going back and saying we didn't do that very well, how can we change? By providing some of the information in real time, whether it's in the desktop agent or through the speech analytics real-time client, it means that we can actually adjust our operation and the way we're working as we find things are very good or not particularly good. So don't just look at it from a historical reviewing capability, also start looking at some of the tools that can be there from a real-time perspective. And going back to the point we started at, Gary, this process is not a one-off task, but it's an ongoing process, and it's a continual evaluation, monitoring, and a refinement of the operation.
Well, that's very interesting. And what's kind of interesting here is you can actually contact Nigel. Most of the time when we do a recording, there's a third party involved, but he's the expert here. And there's 3 resources at the bottom, a white paper, a link to another paper, an Educast we've done in the past on contact center best practices. I'd like to thank you, Nigel, and thank everyone for listening and viewing our Educast.
Thank you, Gary. I appreciate your time. Thank you all.